What does the README markdown for Phpmailer on GitHub, which is what we're looking at right now, what does it say that my sendemail2.php script should contain? Sendemail2.php, that's the script that basically is my test case for Phpmailer. I have it in my website, in my web app, because I'm going to use it to test whether Phpmailer works or not. So the sendemail2.php script needs to basically do the minimum stuff, the bare minimum, which is, create an... I'll show you what the one I have right now does so that we know. Basically, we create a new Phpmailer object. We populate the from name attribute, the from attribute, which is the email address for the from name. Then we set the address for the person who's going to receive the email. We set the subject and we set the body. And then we call the send method on that mail object and get the return value and let the browser, let the client or whoever's reading the browser know whether this succeeded or not by putting a sent or an error message. Okay, so those are the basic parts of sending an email. And I want to know if Phpmailer, as it is installed on my system, will be able to send out an email. So since this code over here was written a while back, and they keep making updates, improvements, changes to Phpmailer, I don't know if this code would work for that reason, and I don't know if it would work because I've never had it on my system before, on this particular system of mine. So let's take a look at what they call a simple example on the GitHub page for Phpmailer. Okay, as I mentioned before, this line is important. It creates a new Phpmailer object. This is not, but starting from here, there's more important stuff. So here we have the from name, and we add the email address and name of the person we're sending the email to. Now over here, they are adding another person to send this email to. And in this particular case, they're only adding the email address, not the name of the person. See over here, they had the name and the email address. Okay. Now down here, what are they doing? Here they're adding a person to the reply to field. That way, when you have a reply to, then that's the person that the email gets replied to rather than the person specified by the from field. Okay. And over here, so add reply to, they're adding it the same way as they did add address. And then add blind carbon copy, so they're adding this person to the to the carbon copy, and they're adding this person to the blind carbon copy. Add attachment, and the path to the attachment is specified. Add another attachment here. This time they give the file path to the attachment and specify the name of the attachment. Here they set the email to be HTML email. Here they set the subject. Here they set the body. And notice the body includes HTML tags. And then here they set something called alt body, which does not have any HTML tags. Then they issue the send method on the mail object. If it returns true, then echo message has been sent. If it returns false, then echo message could not be sent, and echo mailer error, and then the value of the attribute error info. And here they say you'll find plenty more examples to play with in the examples folder. This repository actually has an examples folder. Okay, that's it. You should now be ready to use Phpmailer. Okay, I'll read this and tell you if there's anything important in it. Okay, the documentation section is kind of important, so I'll have Alex read it to you.
Examples of how to use Phpmailer for common scenarios can be found in the examples folder. If you're looking for a good starting point, we recommend you start with the Gmail example. There are tips and a troubleshooting guide in the GitHub wiki. If you're having trouble, this should be the first place you look as it's the most frequently updated. Complete generated API documentation is available online. You'll find some basic user-level docs in the docs folder, and you can generate complete API-level documentation using the generate docs.sh shell script in the docs folder, though you'll need to install PHP Documenter first. You may find the unit tests a good source of how to do various operations such as encryption. If the documentation doesn't cover what you need, search the many questions on Stack Overflow, and before you ask a question about SMTP error, could not connect to SMTP host. Read the troubleshooting guide.
All right, I went to the Gmail example, and basically they're using SMTP, which for me, XM on my server is using a smart host, which is using Gmail, so it's handling that part for me. However, there was some interesting stuff here about this message HTML. Read an HTML message body from an external file. Okay. Then they're setting the alt body here like before and adding an attachment. Okay. I guess I've covered this GitHub repository for Phpmailer pretty good, and that will be it for this video.